but I've already spent like 700 hours working on the Airtable app and how the information all relates to each other. So I think I have a hypothesis because I see a lot of people
Yeah,
talking about how like Lovable gets so crazy so fast and it starts eating tokens. It's like if your data architecture is solid and you know the relationship of how
100%.
users and all that, it seems to go really well. Um, or that I just got lucky. One of the two.
No, it's purely about data architecture and knowing, really planning, like knowing, understanding the systems level view which you have. And once you understand the systems level view, if you can articulate it, then vibe coding is easy. Like where people run into
Maybe,
challenges, where they're it's like a squirrel trying to explain to a raccoon where the food is. Like it just doesn't translate.
yeah. And all the biggest problems I had, and I'm even slowly refactoring a couple things now, is when I didn't explain how the system works, but I explained the features that I wanted to work. And the AI did a great job of implementing those features, but it then created a set of data that is completely independent. That's just its own little thing. And when I then told it the next thing that I want, that's another piece of info, and those things aren't connected really. So it has to
Right.
like do workarounds. And yeah, but luckily I can catch those pretty quick because like I'm looking because I'm so I think maybe maybe we change this from documentation and testing to just systems thinking, man. Because like that's literally all I think that's what I've been I think that I don't know, just there's systems thinking, documentation, and testing or something, as a subtitle, because like I think that's really what it comes down to. It's like it's not about documenting things; it's about understanding. Documenting is a way to show you understand the system, and like documenting for documentation's sake is if you're not connecting it to systems thinking is kind of worthless. It's like a waste of time, right? That's the
Yeah.
the 500-page documentation manual no one reads and no one can read.
Yeah, 100%. Like I have a MCP or a PRD skill for Manus that I wrote, and like you just dump your information, like your raw information into Manus and outspits like a perfect PRD for Lovable. You just literally copy and paste it and it builds your entire app for you in like 10% of the credits that most people use, because it's all about like systems theory, understanding of logical flow, like compound building, like all those different things. And oh, my camera's not on. Oops, you can't see me at my beautiful conference. Um, but yeah, so it's one of those like once you understand the once you understand the theory, if you can articulate it, it becomes so much easier when you're actually building it out.
I think what's going to be interesting though is like because what I'm interested in that is like how much of do you have to be in the process? Because like if you have an idea and you have this problem, like obviously you probably have to bring something to the table, right? But like is it as much as just being able we can now create AI systems that figure out the systems thinking for you, so you don't even have to do the
That's what
systems
I did with
thinking.
the purity skill. Like
Yeah,
I made it so you can take raw input and create basically whatever you want. So it's pretty
yeah, and
powerful.
I think that's one thing too with like the whole vibe coding is that what's really cool is even if it's not the end of the day something that you can push out, or let's say it's not like done the right way and all that, even if uh, it's it's kind of in between a prototype and a full ready for production in the sense of like you need to understand it's going to show you where your systems thinking falls apart because as soon as you start eating tokens and things start getting weird, that's usually a case of, at least with the AI, because it's smart enough to code things right, that's usually a case of it's starting to fight things. So that's what's kind of neat about the vibe coding is it gives you that instant feedback of like when you haven't thought. when your understanding of what you're trying to do is not fully there yet, right? Um, and you get to
Absolutely.
see it. So, but it's great because then now you can come because like I'm wondering, it's like you have this PRDs thing. If I just gave it my first idea or my first concept of what I wanted to do, how accurate would it be versus having gone through a build, flesh things out a little more. Now I have a better mental model. How much can the AI fill that gap when I don't know what I fully want, or I don't even know what I'm asking for yet?
Well, that's why you have it. That's like part of the skill is you have it ask you questions first. So part of the skill, the initial task for the skill is that when you upload your raw information, it asks you a series of questions. Sometimes it's 150 questions, and you have to answer and re-upload those questions, and then that crafts your purity. What's up, Ben? How you doing?
Hi. Um, I was wondering if I could ask a non-snapshot question.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
100%.
this is not snapshots
All right,
anymore. It's
cool.
now documentation, systems thinking, and testing. Yeah, yeah, man, 100%.
Well, what is not systems thinking? So,
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good. What's up, buddy?
yeah. No. My question is, we have a case where we built something for a company that they do like like plastic molding stuff, and they have connections with China. They build the stuff, and then they ship it to Germany, and they sell it to the end customer. And so, of course, the end customer is the are the contacts, and associated with the opportunity and everything. And now the supplier, we have created them as contacts as well, because I thought it was just the easiest because we can track like all the emails and
They have to
everything.
be contacts, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And so the question now is, we are kind of having a hard time getting around the when we send them emails, when we send them the RFQs, for hey guys, we need a quote, and then we have a hard time tracking like which when they send something back, and then looking for the right emails and the right like you don't only have one request for one supplier, but it's multiple. And like I would have no problem if we could do like automatic associations, like with the workflows, like associated different opportunities and everything, like notes and everything. But you can only do all the stuff manually, but you can't
You
do
can do a
anything
filter.
automatically. And
You can
you can't.
in a workflow, you would run
Yeah,
a condition step,
yeah,
and the condition step would be contact reply, and the
yeah.
condition step filter would be email, and then the email would be the email of the supplier, and then you'd run your actions on the filtered step.
Yeah, but the problem is that I thought the same way. But the problem here is that they sometimes not only answer with an RFQ. They sometimes answer with like, "Hey, of course we can send you," or "We need more info," or something like this. And so I can't automatically like take it off.
Can you do it based on subject line?
I thought about this like at least for. Not really, because if they answer with if they answer with hey, we need more info, or hey, we are not available right now, we can't do it, something like this, then of course it's the same subject line. So it would be an info, but and it would be related, but you can't really, I wouldn't know how to. But this is like not the main issue. The main issue is I thought, okay, they have to go into the contact. They have to go into the contact of a supplier and look for the subject email. We thought like with a RFQ ID, and they have to check that with what? They have like different strings of emails. It's always like they're paired, like with a three, four, whatever. and then they check in there, and then what do they check it with to associate it to the opportunity? Like
Oh,
ideally
I
they,
see what you're saying.
yeah, like because we could use like a subject line with a RFQ ID like 1, 2, 3, whatever, and then they go, okay, um, maybe they have a task, a task created that's associated to the supplier contact, which would be possible. And then they like this is my latest thought. They have I'm not sure. Maybe I share and I can show it. It's maybe a more
Yeah, please.
um all right. So where I have it. So this what I thought. Not sure this is not working, but yeah, they have the emails, whatever, and they check like this is subject 1, 2, 3, and then I go to the task and see, hey, this name, this is like for opportunity 1, 2, 3, or like our RFQ ID 1, 2, 3, and then I say, okay, so I check this off, and okay, so now I can't go to the opportunity anymore, but this is another problem. But then they go here to the opportunity and they see, okay, now here we have received, okay, from say fast mode. And I, I'm not sure if this could be automated, but I don't know. This is my best guess in as in like kind of automated. I was
Yeah, that's
just
the best. That's the best you're going to be able to do it at the moment in GHL.
yeah. I was just wondering if like you guys have any like experience with these kind of scenarios and could offer feedback to like this yeah setup, because I think it's not as intuitive as I would have liked it, like just something that yeah just
Because you
feels
can't, if you can't, the problem is you can't associate opportunities to emails, and you can't
um
associate
yeah
tasks to emails directly. So you
yeah
have to use a unique identifier and then a filter based on that.
yeah
It's very cumbersome. But I agree, that's a common problem in GHL.
mm,
It's something you
yeah
can do in HubSpot, but you can't do in GHL.
yeah
Is
like
there something could you do something where it's like if you have I just actually I need to understand one thing first. So this is a contact is the one that would send an RFP out to a set of suppliers.
yeah.
So like you have like okay, and then
No,
y-
no,
mhm.
the user sends out the contact is the one associated to the opportunity, the end client, you know, like the end client. This is like the guy who buys the stuff from our company, and
Oh,
the
okay, so the contact is is a contact at a as a supplier, and as the user, you're sending an RF a request for quote to
yeah.
a supplier, which is a contact, right?
Yeah, but not this contact, not this, not the primary contact associated to the opportunity, but a different contact that is not in any way associated to this opportunity, because we can do it manually. Because you can do it in or actually like I'm not sure if this would be a benefit, but the supplier is like a different set of it's a different contact. It's not
Cool.
associated
So
to the, yeah.
I'm gonna slow us even right down here because this is actually super fascinating, and I'm just going to steal the screen here for a second,
Yeah,
and you
sure.
tell me what. Yeah. So this is how I saw it because Mario has superpowers for being able to see all the things you said after like two or three types of people, and I started doing some notes on my back. I need to be able to see it, right? So
Yeah.
let's just go through this. So we have a user on the account, and and this is why what you said, hey, this isn't systems thinking. This is 100% documentation and systems thinking.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand the system and you can't explain it, it's harder for people to help. You can't troubleshoot. And there's another layer we're going to talk about that I kind of wanted to find a way to shoehorn it in, but you kind of gave it as an opportunity. Is you have a system and like how do your workflows work? But we also have what is that user journey and how do we document a user journey? Like what are those kind of steps and how does that fit in? So let's start off the beginning. So we have a user. So that's user always meaning user on the account, a high level account, right? So that's you, right? And you have suppliers. And how are they marked? You have suppliers that you might want to get quotes from.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And are those companies, how are they in the system? Are they just a contact? How are those suppliers denoted?
Yeah, they're currently contact, but they will be companies.
Right now, so there's a contact and you have a company as well.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And all right. So what you're saying is that you're gonna be sending RFPs. And when you say I'm sending an RFP, do you mean that is this just an email? Is this like, do you have some sort of document that, that, or anything like what is an RFP exactly?
Yeah. And actually, RFQ actually request for
RFQ.
quotation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And exactly. And it's just a template where a custom opportunity field is filled in with the it is filled in with the how do you say it? Like the final date when they have to deliver it, and um, this will be filled out manually by the user in the opportunity card before sending, and when they enter the custom field with the date, and they upload a file to the opportunity card. This file and the date, along with the template, general stuff, will get sent out via workflow to the respective suppliers that they chose also in the
Gotcha.
opportunity card.
So
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you right, you're saying an RFQ is an opportunity, and you have two fields on this opportunity to upload a file, set the date, and currently how it's working is if you do those two things, it's going to then send an email.
No, the RFQ is not an opportunity. The opportunity is let me see. Like the opportunity is where would I put it? Like I don't know, here or something. And it's like the end client. I'm not gonna draw it, but yeah, like
Okay, so it's
the
opportunity. So an RFQ is part of the opportunity, right? The opportunity is
it's just a stage it's just a stage in a pipeline.
Gotcha.
Like
Gotcha there.
like there's a stage that says RFQ is sent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're saying so on the opportunity, the mechanism for this RFQ is so you're saying the RFQ right now is really just a state, a part of the pipeline, and you're going to trigger that. So this is kind of interesting, right? So it's because an RFQ is not a thing. This is really insightful because you said it's actually just a stage, and opportunity uploading a file, setting the date is setting that stage, right? So you're saying if you upload a file and set the date, that's going to move it to the stage RFQ.
I can show you just I can show you
sure, pop it in. Let's make it sure.
Yeah. Gonna share again here. All right. They have this is the sales pipeline, or like the folder for the custom fields of the sales pipeline. And this is like the first stage they get in, like when they tick this off and update, then they get to the second stage. Okay, and now they're on the second stage and they choose the supplier. They choose like this, whatever. They upload a file, and then they enter, it says like now send the RFQ now, and then they update, and then the email gets sent via workflow, and they move over to the next pipeline stage. Just like
cool.
here.
So an opportunity, because the user is sending an RFQ, so you're looking for someone else to pay you. This isn't like a sales pipeline. This is you're using the opportunity as tracking proposals that you would pay for these vendors, for a deal to go through, right? But it's you looking for people to pay for a service or for a quote, right?
Uh, yeah, with the RFQ, yes, yes. It's like you pictured it. It's like the supplier is the one I want to send. Like, I'm not sure if I understand you correct, but it's like I'm not sure what do you guys say in America, but like the end client, they this is the one. This is the end client, like the primary contact of the opportunity. This is the end client. Like there's a new request. This is going to be created, and then we go through this. There's a technical
So
checking.
so what is the
Yeah.
opportunity that you're tracking? What is an opportunity? Is that this is to end with a supplier, you choosing a supplier to pay for some sort of for whatever you quote? What is that
Um,
opportunity?
the like this. There's only this one. Oh, not sure if I understand your question, but this is the one like. Um, the supplier part is only like these two stages like or like actually this stage. I just want to get like in this part I'm gonna check technically the data I got from the end client. Like we are only the like the middleman, the end client wants to have like some plastic stuff. We get the demand from the end client and send a request for quotation to like 10 Chinese suppliers and say, hey, we have this demand. How many, like, when can you produce it? What is the money and what is the quality, whatever. And then they send us, hey, we have this, whatever. And then I choose from the 10 quotes I got. I choose the best one and send it to the boss, and then he says
Cool.
okay, and then we move to the next phase.
Cool. So at the end of this pipeline, what is
Mhm.
a one pipe? What is a
Oh,
one opportunity? What does that end in? Like, what's the goal of this whole pipeline?
yeah, when we sold to the end client, who got the who made the initial request for plastic parts.
Okay, so this is a three-way deal where there's a end client that wants to buy something, and
Yeah,
you, the user, are sending proposals out. So those are kind of like, so this is exactly where a lot of these problems can sometimes go up, right? Is like you're trying to you have multiple processes and you're using
yeah,
a single pipeline stage to manage
yeah,
multiple processes. So it gets confusing because like when I ask what's an opportunity and you're like, well, it changes as we go through the process. Well, it's like, well, that's where things start breaking down is
yeah.
because
That might be
your opportunity, it,
said.
pardon?
That might I might have said this misleadingly.
Yeah. So the first thing I always think do, so what I'd ask so is your request for proposals
Mhm.
or for, I gotta keep, if I say it just because it's RFPs are stuck in
All
my
right,
head from a previous business I did.
I get it.
So your request for quotes, that's its own process. And if it had its own pipeline, would that,
We thought of that.
I'm wondering if that, because is that possible to do? And so you would have a process of a client that's trying to buy something,
Mm.
and you would have a process for reaching out to suppliers for the quotes.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that jumps to my mind is like that might simple. I don't know if it will, but like that's the first thing that's jumping out at me.
Yeah,
If
we
my
thought
screen is
about
still
that
should go on.
too. I can stop the screen sharing, but yours is still on. Yeah, we thought about that,
Oh,
but we thought it's like just how do you say it's like just too big of a deal. That was the kind of thought of mine.
yeah. So now the problem that we're trying to isolate then is the RFQ. And so the problem is then let's just try and keep it in one pipeline for now before I open that. So we
Yeah.
have the opportunity and we need to track the RFQ is what you're saying.
Ideally, yes. And um I, I think we probably can't, but if we could, that would be awesome. But the most important part is for the user to have a nice and seamless workflow because they need to work with it, and it doesn't make sense for them to like go into the email of the supplier, check there, and then somehow find the opportunity that it is kind of not associated to, but that it's like referring to, and then there check
Yeah.
off the,
So here's
you know,
here's how you
like
could yeah. So I think again, because we have to do this relatively short, I can't tell you if this is the
yeah,
answer, but here's what I'm thinking the answer is. So your
yeah,
opportunity is tracking a deal for your end client, right? And
yeah,
that deal, so opportunity equals deal for end client, right? We're tracking
yeah,
that. What we can also do is have a second pipeline, and an opportunity equals an RFQ. All right.
yeah,
So the
yeah,
problem you're saying though is how do we keep this seamless? Because we have this and that needs to track to that. Well,
yeah,
what we can have is, let me just get rid of those for a second.
yeah.
You can then have a field saying opportunity ID.
Mhm.
And when you get to a certain stage or when you create RFQs, those RFQs are going to they're going to be tied to an opportunity ID of a deal. So what you can do is that when you create an RFQ, you're going to grab the opportunity ID from here.
Mhm.
So now you have at least some way of tracking it, right? Because now you can say, hey, this opportunity is attached to a supplier because this is
Yeah,
a supplier pipeline. You see where we're going
yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we have yes, but now the supplier is now we can track this contact. We have the full power. We don't have to look up opportunities stuff. We're not limited to looking in fields and grabbing the info. You can go full on. You can manage this contact however you want, send as many emails because all opportunities are
Mm.
implicitly tied here via ID. And you can look
Mhm.
up and if the ID equals X, you can attach the user's contact details. Like there's 1,000 different ways you can do this, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
are we getting close? Is because I can't think of the exact mechanism that you're having a problem with. But if you had a
Yeah.
supplier pipeline tracking RFQs and you had an ID to attach them, does that give you enough to kind of sort it out? Does that open up some options?
Um, like it's like I said, we thought about it, but we thought, like it's too like too big of a deal to make just for sending out an RFQ. But like we just if this is your like idea as well, then maybe we should actually go for it and just like see and like build it with the MVP and version and see if this would be something that would actually be useful to us.
Yeah. It is a big deal. It would be great if we could just do it the simpler way, and
Yeah.
it can work sometimes. Sometimes simple works, man. So it's just like everything's hard. Choose your hard. Now is this way more hard? Yes, but it's also hard trying to do 5 different things in one pipeline. You know,
Yeah.
and now what happens when you get your next feature? What happens when you want to do something else down the road? What happens when you want to do more with the RFQs?
Mhm.
You want to do reporting on RFQs. How are you going to do reporting on how your RFQs are doing if they're all kind of buried in 2 custom fields within an opportunity? How do you know which opportunities are? How do you know the conversion rate of your you know what I'm saying? Like you're losing all of that
Yeah.
data because it's
Yeah.
separate. And and this is not like you're not alone, man. Don't feel dumb for this because yes, from a user perspective or a non kind of automation, like when you first start, you kind of think, yeah, it should one pipeline keeps it simple. But this concept of identifying objects, assets, suppliers,
Mm.
keeping that data. It it sucks at first, but that's the reality of automation. This is what happens with Lovable. I've been dealing with this kind of all week, where I didn't do this because I kept it simple. And now at the end of the week, I'm going, gosh, I have this one system that's trying to do these things. I have to create manual stuff. But if they were just all defined objects, I could just relate them. And now, so cool, man.
Yeah.
That
All
was
right.
freaking. How you feeling about that? Is that feeling like, oh shoot, I have something to try, or is that like is there anything that's still fuzzy in
Oh,
your head?
not confused. I just like, oh, I
You
am.
didn't want to go down this road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly that. Just like having the mind, putting the mind around it, and just like with all the workflows, and they really work really well together, which like stage change and everything, and you really have to it's like you have to kind of synchronize them, of course, the two pipelines. And so it's just a little more thinking with a tight deadline, and it's just like, but
Yeah, man.
I
I
get
feel
it.
that,
I
man.
get it.
I feel it. So I really appreciate you bringing this up because, dude, this is literally like understanding your system and being able to name what you're working with. Because the first thing that jumped out at me when I was listening, because I don't follow people talking, I have to do this. So Mario to be able to understand instantly is a crazy thing. But the first thing that's jumping out at me is like, I'm asking, well, what is an RFQ? And if you
Yeah.
can't understand what it is, then that's usually a thing. So being able to define, like just like you have a user and a contact and a supplier, you have to be able to define and then what you're working with. And if you can define the things, then AI can help you. Because where AI will have trouble too, like if you can define exactly what all these things are and you throw it to the AI, it'll come up with solutions. But if it has to then figure out, well, what is this? Well, it's an opportunity. Yes. Anywho, cool, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know,
You
Mario,
need
what did you think of all that there? Did that,
standardization. Yeah.
yeah. What do you think of
Yeah,
all that
cool.
there, Mario? Did we do good?
Yeah, I thought you guys did really well.
It's guys, and this is the thing about mapping is that I'm paranoid when I start mapping because like I sit there, I don't know about the rest of you when if you guys were listening at the beginning, and if you guys were like me and sitting there going, I have no idea what's going on. Mario and Ben, yeah, I didn't even look at your name. They're talking, and it's kind of scary. Like there's no like, and you kind of want to have an answer kind of right away. And I started going, oh shoot, I really hope I can help this dude, and I don't just end up poking around. But it's like once we put it down on the paper and visually, the problem starts to sort itself out really fast. And I've been doing like mapping for like 10 years of things. And every single time I feel at the beginning, like I have no idea what's going on. And I'm trying to figure it all out. And then after a little bit of mapping, you can see it, you can name things, and then the answer literally just kind of jumps out at you. So so this one thing there is documenting the system that you think you're building shows your understanding, and it also allows you to evaluate your own thinking, right? Because it's easy to get stuck. I heard the expression the other day. It's hard, the Sistine Chapel. It's hard to picture the entire Sistine Chapel in its entirety while you're focused on laying the brick, while you're building like the walls of, the Sistine Chapel, right? It's hard to kind of zoom out and zoom in. So if you ever kind of get stuck with those problems, this works for some people. Other people are more visual, audible, talky people. You got to find out how do you understand what you're doing and can you analyze it? So, man, cool guys. So, say anyone else have any other interesting things that they're working on, things that they're stuck in? I could also just pick somebody from the call there and say hi. Well, what else we got, Jarvie, man? What's happening? Or Mario, do you
I
got
mean,
something going down?
oh no, I was just saying I'm at AI Unleashed here in Cancun, Mexico. Internet's been a little bit spotty, but it is awesome. Yeah. Um,
Okay. If I got another thing that I could go on if I can just keep riffing on that. Um, One thing, in fact, I'll just get a blank Airtable. I want to show you why, guys, I'm a big Airtable fan. I'll just make some new one, just so I have a blank one. Uh, snapshots. Spreadsheets also work really well for this. But what's really cool that I found about using Airtable is that it's a really good way to prototype systems that you're working on, because a table, if you think about it, is kind of like an object in high level. A contact is an object, an opportunity is an object. It's a thing. And if you want to think about it, why I like using it is that you can, if you wanted to like prototype your system that you're building, you can start by making a table for every type of object, user, contact that you're tracking. So we might start in high level. We might say we have contacts, right? Well, we could also say, actually, you know what, let's start, we might have the users, right? That's something that we have to track. And then there's pieces of information that we have to track about a user. We might need their name. We might have things like an email. Can I type in email? Yeah, like that. We can create, oh, am I sharing my screen, by the way? Just want to make sure. Yes, I am sharing my screen. Cool, cool. Cool, cool. And while I'm doing a mapping process, so while I'm doing something like this, anytime I run into a new thing or a new object, so we have like a supplier. Well, what I can do is I can create a new table, and we're going to call it a supplier. And a supplier is also going to have, so what is a supplier? What do I need to know about my supplier? I need to know maybe the name of them. I might need to know their address, the type of work they do, the products they have. Oh, look, products. What is that? Products is another defined thing that I need to track, right? So I could start, then add another table, and I can now do products, right? And what's cool is, and I'm just going to delete it. So we start off, right? These products can then be linked, and this is where Airtable gets really cool, is that you can link this table, these products that we're going to create, and I can link it to a supplier. So I'm just going to create that field. So we might have a product called, I don't know, doohickey. So we got this doohickey product and a what? And this doohickey, and then we might have suppliers like Acme doohickeys, and then we might have Thingy and Co. There we go. So we have two suppliers, and we might have Acme doohickeys. I want to connect this to this product. And I'm going to have Thingy and Co. I'm going to connect that to this other product, right? I've now established a relationship between how this idea of a supplier and a product needs to connect together. And every single time you're working with high level, lovable, any kind of system, you want to be getting into the practice of naming the things that you're working with and what is the relationship between them. Because we have users, right? We have users like we got Ben here and Ben's brother maybe. And right. And these users might have certain suppliers that they use. I'm just making stuff up at this point. So they might be linked to suppliers. So Ben deals with Acme doohickeys. Ben's brother here, he works with Thingy and Co. And so and you can do this on a spreadsheet and you can just write these names in. I just like Airtable because I can click. I can click through and it's all dynamically related. But this is how you kind of solve systemic problems, is you first have to name things. I like using Airtable. I like prototyping my idea, my mental model of what I'm working with. And then you just keep adding things, right? You have like emails, opportunities that you can add. And documents, contracts, every time you run into something, figure out what it is, what you need to know about it, and how does that information relate to other things. Because if you get this part right, you can go into, you can start figuring out, well, is a supplier a contact? Is it a user? Is it an opportunity? Is it a custom object in high level? You know, you can get this kind of stuff out. Yeah. Is anyone
I was
completely
wondering,
lost? Yeah,
could I ask a
jump
question
in.
for this? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. Go.
Um, where do you connect this to your mental visual model where you say, okay, I have this like I have this associations and everything, but how do you go from kind of having like the associations and to like the next step to how do I start or how do
How
I
do you apply it to high level?
apply? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I'm doing this for, at least, I mean, I'm going to keep it real simple. The reason I brought in Airtable here is just to saying what's important is you just need this. This doesn't even have to be applied in any direct sense. All you need to do is to make sure that you understand and you can actually see and name the things that are happening in your account. So the problem that you started with is I have this opportunity issue, and I'm trying to sort out this technical issue with an opportunity. And the way that I approach it is, instead of just trying to fix that issue, I first said, well, what is a user? What is a supplier? What is a product? So the application is, if you can name, is basically being able to recognize when you're dealing with a unique object. So how it applies is like, hey, just like you saw me, right? I said, well, what is a supplier? What is a product? And then I said, what is an RFQ? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm just using Airtable to help me name things and identify the things that I need to know about them. And then how I apply that then is to go, well, what is this in high level? So a user in high level, well, yeah, you know what? We could do that. You know, we can make a table for, you know, I'm making this up as we go. We might have high level. We're just call this, here we go. We might have like features in high level. Let's call it that. Or yeah, I'll just call it features. We might have a contact. We might have a user, an opportunity. We might have a custom object, an object. Here's how yeah, right? So you just said, hey, the problem we're trying to solve is, you know, what are, actually, no, this doesn't work here. This doesn't work as well here, but I'll just use this as a little notepad. The application is trying to figure out, how do we map these to these in high level? And right now, or like even like a pipeline, right? The problem that I first noticed is that an RFQ, where does it sit in high level? Is it a contact, a user, an opportunity, an object, or is it a pipeline? Or is it a pipeline stage?
It's nothing.
But yeah. And then what we discovered was it's not even a pipeline stage. It's a opportunity custom field. It's actually just kind of like, it's this little ethereal thing, right? But an RFQ is actually it's a defined thing that needs to be tracked, that has information that's associated with contacts, associated with suppliers and use. You get my drift, right?
Yeah.
So I just use Airtable for me to create a mental model so that I'm very clear about what I'm trying to track. And then I try and find the best feature in high level or Lovable or whatever system you're using, HubSpot, whatever. What feature of the program or CRM best matches being able to manage these things, right? And sometimes it's simple. Sometimes it's just all we need is an opportunity field, right? You know, maybe the product, we just need a single drop down in an opportunity field for the product. And that's all we need, because we're not doing any billing. We're not doing any purchasing. All we just need to do is track which product did they ultimately buy, right? Sure, that works. But if we start developing our products and we start going, well, hey, we need to know, we need to start knowing more information. We start adding fields. You start adding like 10 different fields because these are 10 pieces of information we need to track about our products. Well, all of a sudden you can now look at this visually and go, well, we can't just make this a opportunity or a custom field on a contact. This is way too big. We can't, won't work. Opportunities might not even work because, like that's going to get clunky or might get busy. We actually have to have a whole product system in our account and we have to manage it. We have to have a pipeline for it, right? So hopefully, does that answer why I use Airtable? Is not necessarily to make it like, I'm not going to like, this isn't a physical implementation. It's more just understand and make sure that I'm tracking the things that need to be tracked about it.
Yeah, no, gotcha. I love it. I love the linking part. It's cool.
Yeah, and because this is like I stumbled. I some of you guys from the high level space know that I have a snapshot documentation tool, and I built it on Airtable. And the really cool thing I've been telling everyone, and Mario knows I'm a broken record on this, is that as soon as I spent a lot of time understanding the relationships between what do you need to track. And when I went into Lovable, as we were saying earlier today, is like, I don't know how to code at all, but I've had no problems with like AI vibe coding because this data, I already had a strong mental model of what data I'm trying to track. And then the AI just runs with it. AI loves structured data. AI, if you give AI structured data, it figures stuff out. If you give a high level builder structured data, you can solve the problems in high level, right? Structured data is like really, really useful thing. So yeah, man, that's cool, man. Oh, we got a Phil hanging out with us today. Hello, Mr. Phil. Are you on mic today? No mics. Cool guy. So yeah, guys, if anyone else has some things going on, I'd love to hear what projects you're working on. If you want to know how we can maybe document your app project.
I'm building
system.
out an alcohol monitoring system and an alcohol monitoring invoicing system. And it's really complicated from a billing standpoint because it has client pays, the client pays directly, court pay, which the court gets invoiced retroactively at the end of the month, and then a hybrid pay where it's a split client prepay and code sale. So it's always like a yellow system and a bunch of other crazy.
Oh, you getting kicked out?
Yeah, because the presentation is starting.
What's this?
Hold on. A presentation was starting, so I just got to move areas.
Oh, President, I heard something was burning. I'm like, what?
No, a presentation was starting. So yeah, so I'm building it out. It's got a bunch of different like systems essentially between court pay and client pay and hybrid pay. But the challenge, and it's already an existing application, but I had to rebuild it in a new framework. And the challenge was the app, when they built it, was not documented at all. So I had to retroactively go in and document everything. And then I created this skill template in Manus that actually does like the PRD writing and everything else. And it was super powerful to see the documentation like unfold. And then I basically just threw it in Cursor and told it to write the app. And then Cursor just basically spit out the entire app. What should have been months of work took like 8 hours.
Dude, this is that's really freaking cool. And what's another great thing that's jumping out at me too with how we can tie it into documenting is being able to document the different entities, assets, objects, whatever you want to call them, is also powerful because everyone has their own mental model of how something works, right? If you talk to anyone in the high level space, if you talk to 5 different people, you're going to get 5 different answers about what high level is, what does it do, how do you use it. And if you can identify the different entities, systems, products, flows, and all that, it gives you a chance to bring people together and sort stuff out. Because one of the challenges when you're working with teams, if you're just doing your own thing or a small team, it's pretty easy to stay aligned because all the information is being shared. It's the same, you're all at the same meetings, you all have the general same understanding of things sometimes. But when you start getting complicated where people aren't always talking, maybe you have the CTO isn't as involved in something, or maybe even in a small team, you guys all do your own thing, right? So you all have your different areas of expertise. How do you come together on things? Well, if you can sort out what everyone's, hey, when we're talking about a product, what do we mean by that? Oh, hey, okay, we have these 3 different ways of purchasing or these 3 different flows. Like, let's actually write down what those kind of flows are. Let's actually identify like what are the, what is that purchase process? Like, what are we tracking with this? And if you could write it down and get everyone's thoughts in it, you can then start to saying what is true, and you can get agreement on what is true and what isn't true, what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done. And it kind of is a nice way of it's not just about, again, documenting for documenting's sake. It's a great way to be able to say, here's what we all believe is true about our whole system. Right. Now people can go off and do their own thing, right?
Right.
Because what can sometimes happen, Martin, you've done this many, many times, right? Where you go in and fix a bunch of things, and even though you fixed it all, people are probably going to give you pushback because their mental model of what's happening is maybe more limited than what you did coming as a third party in and looking. Like even Ben, like what was the pushback he first had? He's like, dude, he said it right there. He's like, man, he says like, this is probably the right answer. The only thing that's bothering me is the fact that I'm still thinking like how I was at the beginning.
Yeah.
But when I wrote it out, it's a little bit harder for him to go, well, my old way of thinking doesn't really. Yes, I agree with everything 100%. You wrote down, Mike. I can't remember. So, yeah, shoot. That's another big thing. But yeah, so dude, you got to show me that. Is that PRD thing like Mario Secret Sauce Land, or is that something I can peek at?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll drop you the skill in Facebook chat right now. Let me find your Facebook chat. Agitos.
Would be really crazy is if I redo the vibe code that I spent literally all week on, because it's literally my first go at it, and to see what it would do as a brand new project. Sorry, go on, dude. Sorry, I interrupted.
I was just gonna say I had so much fun last night. I tripped over my own feet while I was dancing. It was really funny. But I ended up meeting this young lady who like she's very anti-AI, and for like ethical reasons around like the arts and environment. And we ended up talking for like 12 hours. We were talking until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was such a wonderful, such a wonderful conversation because we were actually able to like go through like with documentation, like the history of AI, like all of the different ethical concerns, like, and go back and forth and evaluate. And so it's funny how like documentation even plays a role in like debates and things like that, where it's like, if it's not documented, it never happened, or you can't prove that it's true. So it's like, but she ended up basically changing her opinion during our conversation about like politics and AI ethics, because I was able to definitively prove with presentations and documentation how like her mindset was not necessarily accurate. And she was like, dude, I had no idea about any of this. And I was like, yeah, and I was like, here's the proof. Like, I pulled it up on my phone and was like, here's all of the history Like I've done all the research. Like I have in my ChatGPT, I have like countless hours of AI research. And so I just pulled up my GPT threads and was like, look at all of these facts. And so I just find it interesting how documentation even plays a role in like debates and regular conversation.
So the changing people's mind, the big thing that's the number one thing that changes people's mind is not convincing people. It's it's a mix of making people feel heard and making people feel like bringing understanding to people. And so often when we're explaining things to people, we're explaining our mental model of how things are, and we're kind of trying, and the humans, our limitation is like we're very versatile in our thinking, but we're also very limited by the amount of facts that we can keep in our head at any one point. Right? I think it's something like 4 to 7 is the average.
Yeah.
Is like that's the general thing, right? So when you're trying to debate with somebody, you're trying to debate. You have one or two main points, and you have a couple other supporting perspectives, ideas, and that's all you got. And they got their own set of 7. Whereas when you document things, what you're doing is somebody talks to you and you can say, oh, what did you just say? What is your RFQ? What do you mean by that? And if you can then write down
Yeah.
what their needs, their worries, their problems are, and then they can go, I agree, or they can say, that's close, but here's what you're missing, or here's what's different. And if you can show them that understanding and they can see their own mental model in front of them, now they can
100%.
see it. Now they've agreed on, like, so that's the part of what's cool about documenting. It's listening and getting them to agree with the premise. Otherwise, it's just your set. It's like playing a game of cards. You know, there's
Yeah.
52 cards in the deck is reality, but they got 7 cards and you got 7 different cards, and you're trying to like figure
Swapsies
out
and
the rest of
agree.
the deck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. And
yeah.
that's like, and so, but it was interesting because like she was like relatively left leaning and like not anti-Trump, but like what's the word? Like ignorant for lack of better words. And not in a bad way. Like she was very like open to having a conversation.
Unaware.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unaware. There you
she's
go.
just
Unaware. I like that word better. But so she was
it's complicated
unaware.
because it's complicated, right? Everything's freaking
Yeah.
complicated.
She
Nothing's
was like,
like
I don't
the
under
world
she
is
was like, I don't
complicated.
understand the economic policy. And because I don't understand the economic policy, all I see is the media impact. And so we started going through I pulled up, I just broke my laptop out and just pulled up all these research articles I have. And but I found it fascinating how, and I was thinking about you too, like I found it fascinating how because of how I've changed like from our conversations and from what I learned like from you, especially at Extendly, like how I've changed my documentation habits and my research habits. And now I have everything organized into like folders, and like I have my recall ability is so much better because it almost like organizes it in my head. Um, but yeah, it's just wild how like even documentation plays a factor in like conversation and debate. But yeah, man, no, it's been a cool event. Like
Mhm.
I'm proud of Fur. I think that him and Michael have, really knocked it out of the park. I would say that like I think I went to like 40 events last year. And of all the events I've been to, this is probably one of the few, this and Kicking Sass Summit in Costa Rica are two of the few events where I feel like I genuinely learned something. And I feel like the crowd genuinely is taking away like valuable information as opposed to, because each one of these sessions are an hour and a half long, and it's all practical application of like learning and practical application of skills. And so like again, and it even goes back to documentation because a lot of the speakers like have really well documented projects, so people are able to follow along even if they get stuck at some point and the speaker can't get to them. Like people are able to follow along with the documentation. So I'm excited for tomorrow for my presentation on MCPs and AI or APIs. I'm
Mhm.
actually writing a test case right now for it.
Yeah, it's that's the fascinating thing, man. It's like we're moving away from documentation of as of like what is the thing, what are the the tasks, what is the things about it, and we're moving towards documenting the process, the ideas, the people, the players involved. And I think that's the part where, because that's like AI is people, yeah, straight up documenting is of what's there is AI has replaced all of that. It's like we got that done already. But the real work, and it's the human work, right? Because if even AI is wiping away like 95% of the work of a job role, but that doesn't mean it's gotten rid of the job role. It's just mean the job role is now just the five of the human part is just this 5%. And that 5% is now so much more important. The
It's so much more
understanding,
impactful. Yeah.
impactful too. Yeah, yeah. It's so much more impactful and important because now 5% of your job is now 100% of your job. What used to just be something you kind of had to sort of know, maybe a little bit amongst the 95% of the other things you're doing. Now it's like your main role is understanding things, communicating with people, uh, figuring out what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it and how it connects to everyone else around you. Like that's now the job. And yeah, so man, document the things that are important, leave everything else to the AI.
Well,
Greg.
I think everything kind of curbs back to documentation in a lot of ways. Um, no, it does because you got to when you think about it, like even from an AI standpoint, like how does the AI get trained? Right? It doesn't download a human consciousness. It doesn't download someone's memories and their like history of like how to troubleshoot a thermostat, right? The AI learns from it's trained on documentation. And so what I'm finding is that like and especially with all the training projects I've been working on because I'm working on a defense project for cybersecurity. And um one of the things is like the AIs are largely unaware of some of the more nuanced technical details in cybersecurity. And so, how do we fix it? We take the documentation and upload the documentation to the AI so that the AI is fundamentally aware of what it needs to be doing and what knowledge it has. And it's like I think the 5%, the 5% that is more impactful and the 95% reduction means that 5% turns back into 100% because you still have to feed the AI the knowledge to be able to use it for augmentation, right? So instead of looking at it like it's downsizing the workforce, look at it like it's augmenting the people that may not have been able to leverage those skills previously to now have at their fingertips the knowledge in an efficient and speedy manner so that they don't have to read like because I remember like dude when I started programming I was reading C++ and C sharp books back in the 90s and it was so incredibly time consuming to program and to code because you had to like if you wanted a command right on
Mm-hmm.
in terminal you had to look up the command structure you had to look up all the details of it and everything like that and now I just type it into ChatGPT it gives me the one line and it's like boom.
So what you just said is something close to my heart. Why that one other way of looking at it is it's not just that AI is freeing people up to be able to do like their value, which is maybe that's a bit maybe people that's more understandable. But how I look at it is documentation is understanding what is valuable, right? It's like, hey, are you a person that does XYZ? No, no, no. What I'm actually is this, this, and this. Maybe we
Yeah,
should write that. That's something worth writing down. What do I bring to the table? It's like, oh, well, maybe I'm charismatic. Well, why are they charismatic? Oh, because I because I take the time to learn people's name and I care about them and I reach out. That's worth documenting. Like
100%.
the fact that you know how to do a task, that's good. But what's more important is what do we care about is character. What is the value that you as a person or you as a company bring? What does your system bring? What is your AI? What is the actual value? What is worth documenting? Right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, yeah,
100%.
dude, man.
And like
Friggin'
I
love
think
it.
one thing that would be really cool before we have to hop off is like if you like as SFTing, supervised fine tuning, and training of AI models becomes more available and commonplace, like uh like my limitless pendant that I wear, right? It's training itself on my entire conversation history of my life. Like every word that I say in because I wear it 24 hours a day. So like every
Hmm.
word that I say is being used to train a model and make it better at recalling my knowledge and things like that. And there are things that, like, especially when I'm working on projects, like I talk to myself because my limitless pendant picks it up. And then when I forget something, I have the ability to recall that information so much faster. And it's almost like we're
Hmm.
documenting our own consciousness in a lot of ways. And as we document our own consciousness, like we find like the human gap between us and technology is that we forget things and technology doesn't.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Do you have I do have to get going in a couple minutes here, but do we have a
yeah,
minute or two for me to show off? I'll
yeah,
show you
yeah.
off my little
Let's
vibe
take a
app
look.
there.
Let's take a look, man.
I'm super, super proud. So cool. Yeah, no hedging. It's just what it is. So, this is
Oh
a
wow.
documentation tool for snapshots, high-level accounts, and all that. And it's pretty cool. So I'll just start at the beginning. So you have your snapshots, which I'm very soon going to be replacing with systems because not every system, because not everyone does snapshots. But you have your snapshots. You also have modules, so you can create, your different parts of your system. So a lead magnet, onboarding, that kind of fun stuff. And it's just being able to document all of like the workflows. So you can have your workflows. You can put descriptions in for them. You can link up to other assets. So if I create an asset, if I put it in, what did you? Oh yeah, because I'm not that guy there. So if I create an asset, I could put it in a module. I'm going to put a form in, and the form is called this form or something like that. Cool, cool. Uh, all the kind of functionalities of being able to like link to other assets. So I can link it to, I can make a reference, a trigger. This
Oh,
workflow
this is
is,
awesome.
yeah, this workflow depends on this form. So all the basics of documenting, I'm not going to go through all of that there. But what's even cooler about it is I've created an AI system for it that you can then that you can ask it kind of questions about. It'll crawl through your information, but it'll also create a list of suggestions. Let me close it down. So you can have it run different tools where it'll find contradictions in your documentation. So if one workflow says it does this and another workflow says it does that, it'll be able to find those kind of
Oh, this
contradictions,
is really
and it'll
cool,
give
dude.
you and it'll give you a list of things there to improve. Um, and it's also, yeah, so you can track all of your updates, training docs, and then again, the AI, which I'm calling Patchy, the little AI intern here. Uh, it'll be able to tell you about how your snapshot works, and then it'll either do the things for you, so it can even do tasks like, hey, if I've written out what my modules are, and I dump in how the workflow, and I give it like the JSONs of the workflows, it has that information in the workflows. It could help with the documentation writing. Now, I'm still not a fan of AI doing all of that because I still think a human needs to be part of that. But being able to at least cross-reference, hey, this is what the workflow says it's supposed to do. This is what the module it's part of is supposed to do. Here's what assets it's connected to. Now the AI can troubleshoot and make sure that your documentation of your understanding of how your snapshot actually works is all there. And I wish I hadn't cleaned this. I had cleaned out all of the assets because I'm doing some other tests and I would have showed you all of the stuff there.
That's
I
so
didn't
cool,
think
dude.
about that.
Congratulations, man.
But yeah, this thing I spent like, I don't know, I've lived like 10, 12 hours a day all week in it. And it's yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah. So
powerful.
anyhow,
Good job,
I'm
dude.
launching this. I'm beta testing this or open beta testing with my existing members, and I'm just going to make a paid early access. Like if you want to get in when it's cheaper, I'll probably do that today or tomorrow for if people want in.
Oh yeah, man.
Uh, but yeah, all my existing Cabbage crew, they're all getting in. So
I was actually
they're
so
getting in.
funny. funny Cabbage Crew story. It's from Minecraft, right?
Nope. RuneScape.
RuneScape. Oh, gotcha.
It's old school, old school, not new old school.
Yeah, that girl
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
was talking to yesterday is a Minecraft moderator. Like that's her job, is like modding safe servers for kids. And
Oh, wow.
um so we were talking about like I was telling her about Cabbage Crew and like what we were doing with like documentation and like all this other stuff, because they have to extensively document all of their moderation tasks and actions for like legal reasons.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was bragging on you a little bit about being like the Cabbage Crew guy who mined the world records amounts of cabbage. Um,
In a silly game called RuneScape. Yeah, that
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
man. If
funny.
when you understand, yeah, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna keep talking stories and all that. But yeah, yeah, dude, I appreciate the space to talk about this. I even learned a lot thinking through this, and I'm glad. I'm hoping you guys did too.
Awesome, man. Well, I will see you a little bit later.
Oh yeah, yeah. Say hi to Fur and all the gang for me.
Will do, buddy. Toodles.